Hello, everyone. Welcome to my presentation about Voila and how to make live dashboards with Voila. My name is Dominic Thievessen, and I hope I can today show you a bit about how to use Voila. It's not very complicated. It's a very quick and easy tool to make your dashboards or your code into a standalone web application. So you can use this to quickly visualize it or to quickly put it into put only the most important part on one page and present it in front of researchers, in front of your colleagues, in front of or give it to a manager so they have a dashboard. So as I said, very quick and easy tool. So I will show you some options. Don't have to go very much in depth into how it works because sometimes it's just one click. Okay, so what is Voila? It's a converter of Jupyter notebooks into a standalone web application. And it does so very quickly, very easily, as I said. How does it do it? It does use NB-convert and also Jupyter Server. So you might know NB-convert. This is, for example, if you're in the same course, this is what we used in the first case to convert it to an HTML. So if you have a very long notebook, you have a lot of code, you have data preparation, data cleaning, and in the end, some visualizations to help underline or extract the information that you try to convey. You will have a very long code, and NB-convert will just make one HTML file out of it, for example. What Voila does better and differently is it has one advantage is that you can still use interactive tools. So you might have just come from the iPy widget presentation, for example, or already know how to use it pretty well, or have in your head how to use Matplotlib or GeoPandas to have interactive maps, for example. You can use all of this in a Voila dashboard. Of course, you probably know this because in your notebook, it is interactive. You can use it. You can use all of it. But if you were to just use NB-convert and have an HTML page, this would, of course, not work. So this goes pretty hand in hand with your knowledge that you might now have about iPy widgets, because you can make very interesting data visualizations and give some freedom to the end user for them to interact with it and have some widgets to look at subsamples, for example. Another large advantage is that it's language agnostic. So Voila cannot only be used with Python, but it can also be used with C++, for example. And some people might prefer the visualization tools they have in that language, so they will probably be pretty happy to hear this. What are the large benefits? So as I said, we have these interactive dashboards that we can now give to someone else, or we can, when we show it to someone else, we can use these, and we will not have the whole code. We will not have everything there. We just want to present not the data preparation or how exactly we made the graph or the plot look red or be large enough or what exactly we use as formatting. We just want to show the results and important plots and not the annoying details that someone who doesn't code or isn't interested in these few details that doesn't bring as much information, they won't have to look at it. Also, another benefit is this does not allow the end user to tinker with the code. So if you're just showing it to someone next to you, you're like, hey, here's my code, look at it, here are the graphs, this is the data. They will not be able to change something about your code. They will just have this, this end of just this dashboard and will not be able to change anything of it. And as I said, it takes just a few clicks. So once you use it, you'll see it's just a very nifty tool. You can just have one click and you'll see how it might look like as a dashboard, as opposed to your huge notebook that you might have worked on for a few weeks. How do you install it? So as with all of the other packages that we've covered, it's pretty easy. In Conda, this is the line you would need to install. And if you use PyPy, just use pip install Voila, and it will work. You can do this both in the Jupyter notebook. You can use this in the command prompt, whichever you prefer. Both of these will easily, quickly install Voila. I will also cover, there are some templates, some things you can download online, how you would install these as well. But as I said, it's very easy. Once you install it in the Jupyter notebook, for example, your Voila, it will just show up as one icon. So you don't even have to change anything else. You don't have to call it or anything. You will just be able to have one icon and just press on it and voila, it gives you a page. It just gives you the page. I guess that's the namesake as well. And it's very easy to use. If you instead want to use it as a standalone application, you can also do that. If you want to do so, I will show in a second. You just go into your command prompt, you just type voila, the path to the notebook. Of course, you should probably put in your working directory. And then there's some options that I will also cover. For now, I will demonstrate it real quick. So if you just do it in the command prompt here, for example, you would just do pip install voila quite easily, and you will have it installed. Or the same goes for any notebook that you have. Just type pip install voila, run it, you will have it, of course, and then it will show up here. So if you have this here, you will see, if you have it installed, you will just see this little icon. So I will show it with one of these projects here. If you just go into, let's say we go into the basics project. These are some example notebooks that the developers gave. Very useful if you just want to look at how it can work very quickly. You just click voila, and it will execute everything and put it into this page. So now you will see these interactive widgets, for example, that calculates the square, I guess, will all show up. They can use them. All of this will be available to the end user. Very quick to use. So another way to go into it is if you're in this directory, you can also just type in the URL instead of tree, you type voila. And then you can just select the items you want to open with voila. So if I press on this, this would do exactly the same thing that I just did by clicking on the icon. The other way is, I will just put in the directory real quick. As I said, just type in voila, then type in the name of the file you want to open. So let's do dashboard now, for example. And then there are some options here. So you can have some options here. I will just cover one real quick. So you can set the theme, press hyphen, two hyphens, and then theme equals dark. Now this will open the dashboard notebook that I have. And as you can see now, it's in a different theme, thing of preference, of course. And again, here you can see very interactive. You can use all of this. Okay, since it's so simple, what else can you do with it? So there's some customizing you can do, of course. There are some also templates that you can just access online. So these would change how the page looks exactly. I can definitely recommend GridStack, for example, and Material. GridStack, then you can move different parts of your notebook or the plots. This could be very useful if, for example, you have someone who says, okay, I want this, I know this table's up here, but I kind of need it to understand this graph. They can just move it and say, okay, now I have it in the same field of view, and now it's easier for me. So this is pretty useful. How to use them? First, you need to install them. You just do the same way as you installed Voila, just pip install Voila hyphen and then the template name. So instead of Voila, this part, you would just have Voila Beautify, for example. Then you have it installed. All you need to do is the same way we put in the option here. So you could put in hyphen theme equals dark. You would put in template equals material, for example. I will show this in a second as well. You could also design custom templates, of course. For that, you would need Jinja, HTML, and CSS, though. If you are interested in this is where you can read up on this. But as I said, you will find a lot of resources online. You can just use whichever templates you like most that you already see online. And of course, one of the main benefits of Voila is just that it's quick. You just have a very quick visualization. And for that, you don't need very sophisticated templates. You can also, without much knowledge, just use these. Other options we have is the theme, as I said, but also strip sources equals false. This will make it so that you can actually see the input cells. So if you do want to have them in there, you can change this setting and we'll have it. I will show this real quick. Let's show, for example, what happens if we use GridStack, so a different template. So let's say I will open the same one that we just had. So let's do the dashboard one again. So we just type in Voila, dashboard.ipinb. And now we want the template to be GridStack. The other one I will show in a second as well. So now you can see it here. It's a bit put in different positions, but as you can see now, I can move the histogram. So everything here is now a module on this grid that you can see, or maybe you can see the lines there. Everything here is a module now that I could move. So I could move this line chart up here. That makes you able to change it. So maybe you want a specific design before you present, or maybe the person just decides, okay, I want this here, and that helps them. And then it works the same way as I mentioned previously. You have this customizable interactive widget built into here just by using IPy widgets, for example. As another, maybe as a last example, I will just show you this here, for example. This is a competition entry by, sorry, it takes a second because of the Zoom icon. I'll show you in a second here. So by Subin An for data visualization, one notebook by him, for example, your interest, you see this whole code, this is all the code that he put in here, a lot of code, you don't care about it, you don't want to execute the full thing, you want to just quickly see nice inspiration for the graphs. So instead of running all of this and then having the code there and everything, what you can do instead is press Voila, or what I did to prepare it, because it loads a bit, because it's a very long notebook, I put in the same as here, so Voila, and then the name of it, and then as a template now you will see material, for example, the little header. So here you see now the markdowns are still kept, so you still know what he wrote down as like a conclusion or result, but now you can focus on the interesting data visualizations. You don't have the whole code about the formatting or the data preparation, you just have this part here. So as I said, very nice, very quick, and very easily usable. Just click on Voila. But so maybe I will come to shortcomings now. There are some things that can cause issues here, some troubleshooting, some tips that I've compiled as well. So one issue is currently you cannot send the web application directly to someone. So right now there's not this application of saying, oh, this is my presentation, I'll just use Voila. And now beautifully, I have a nicer visualization. I have a standalone web application that I can send to someone. This is not currently possible. But since Voila is relatively new, they seem to be working on it right now, but they don't have it yet. I'm hoping that in the future they will. So if you're interested in this and want to use it, keep an eye out for that. It's possible that they might be able to implement it in the future. Another thing that can cause issues, for example, when you just use someone's notebook. I just showed you, for example, the data visualization contest entry. One issue that you could run into is you need to have all the relevant libraries installed. So when you show it to someone or when you send it to someone and they should use Voila, then they could often run into an error, hey, you don't have IPy widget installed. So my tip is if you try to show a notebook to someone in this way and tell them, yeah, just go and Voila, then you'll have it. Then try to include the installation. So pip install IPy widgets or pip install matplotlib, Seaborn, whatever you use in your notebook, do include that or mention it to them so that if they run into an error, they know, oh, okay, I see in line 3 something didn't work. It used matplotlib there. Okay, it's probably not installed. So I should just run pip install matplotlib and then it will work. But as I said, this does just run on the computer the person has. So if they don't have the correct packages installed or the libraries, then you will need to tell them to do so. So this could hinder someone who isn't good at coding or doesn't know the Python or whatever. You would need to explain to them to quickly do that. Or as a workaround, as I said, just put it in the beginning. Then one other shortcoming, or maybe not shortcoming, is that it operates within the constraints of other Python visualization tools. So as I said, your notebook and what you do with IPy widgets and everything, that's the visualization. Voila doesn't do any visualization for you. It just packs it up neatly, so to say. So if you're not as good with Python visualization yet, this doesn't really help you with that. But especially if you're good already, this is a very nifty tool to quickly make it even a bit better by formatting it nicely and having it on a page without all the code that you wrote for it to look nicely beforehand. This could, of course, also be useful. This could be a benefit because, as I said, it's language agnostic. So if in C++ you're more comfortable and you use, more visualization tools, you can just switch to that and use Voila, and Voila will help you with that. Then you can also run into some errors because it does not serve all files in the notebook directory. I just want to mention this in case you run into errors with this. There's some documentation about it online, and you will need to whitelist these files, and then it should work. To finish it off, some useful resources. So there's a Voila gallery that I will show you real quick. There's a gallery of different dashboards. These can be used as inspiration, for example, to see what kind of things you can implement and what things complement each other with Voila pretty well. Some machine learning visualization, a COVID dashboard, for example, and others. You can also, the other resources include, for example, these notebooks that I just showed you. You can access them by the developers on their GitHub page that I put here as well, in case you need it. And then if you want to look into other options that you can change as well, instead of just theme and stuff, you will be able to read up on the documentation there as well. Otherwise, if you have any other questions or you need some more help with iPad widgets, for example, I definitely found this tutorial to be very helpful by Julia Wagemann. There's a YouTube video of her presenting and helping with this as well. I can definitely recommend. She mostly shows you how to visualize with iPad widgets, how to implement all these widgets and link it to your plots, and then how to use Voila as a last step, not complicated, just as a last step to then put it as a standalone web application. So I hope this helped you. I hope you can find with these resources, you can solve all your questions, or I was able to solve them in this presentation. And I wish you good luck with using these and have a good day. Thank you.